It's Friday then, and Saturday, Sunday, what?
Their lives again, their life pull us, their lives again, their life pull us, it's Friday again, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday again, it's Saturday, Sunday.
Hello and welcome, everybody.
Hey.
It's me and me.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. It's been a long time. We're not very consistent. Actually, we're horribly inconsistent. Actually, very tragically, horribly inconsistent. But
that's what makes us great.
You gotta stay tuned.
Whenever you feel like it, hey, there's a new video. Actually, if you like and subscribe, you can get that notification on your phone the second that we post a video. So
we don't know when that will be. It's literally when we feel like it.
That's the beauty of the channel. It's just a mystery.
But you know what? People have been complaining about that. I've been getting a lot of complaints or actually requests to do a video. People have been telling me, dude, what the fudge? What's going on with the Friday nights? And I don't really have a good answer. To be honest, I don't have a good answer. It's straight up laziness, to be honest. I really don't.
Well,
I can't
those
say
of you asking,
it's laziness.
Where's our videos? What's up with our work ethic? Let me tell you. You know, there's a war on the verge of breaking out between. Well, a war just broke out between Russia and Ukraine.
Where the hell have you been for the past 12 days?
But what I meant to say was, you know, we're on the verge of we're about to get involved in some stuff we weren't initially a part of, but I don't know, we're gonna have to.
You know what someone was saying the other day, man, about that? Somebody was saying, I don't know where or what, but someone was complaining about the Biden administration for one, and how they're responding to it, and then they were complaining about Putin. Anyways, bottom line is, like, I think in this day and age, I don't know what news source to really trust, man. Because, I mean, I know, dude. I feel in my gut, at least, that I'm going to go so far as to say 100% of what I see on TV is propaganda. I know that the images that obviously are true, are real. I'm seeing real carnage and this, that, and the other, but the narratives that I'm hearing are propaganda. Like, everywhere you look. I mean, the story is so muddled. You know, I watched Putin's he did a speech he gave, I think a day or two before, the day before or the day of the invasion, somewhere around there. And he goes into this long laundry list of reasons why he's doing what he's doing, and he mentions that he's trying to bring Nazis to justice by going in there, because something happened. I can't remember. I wouldn't understand totally, but he said something about the people that are in charge of Ukraine, or that have been in charge of Ukraine, or were in charge of Ukraine, are directly responsible for the burning alive of several Russian diplomats, or pieces to their government. I can't remember what offices they held. It's very important. Russian people were locked in a building, I think, and it was destroyed. It was set on fire, and they burned alive in there, like 11 of them, or something. And Putin made and I'm probably totally butchering that story, but that's what I got is that Putin wants to bring the people that are responsible for that act to justice for one. Obviously, that's not the whole reason he's invading. That's probably just a little byproduct of it, an extra. But, anyways, I'm just saying it's hard to disseminate or decipher or piece together what is really going on. And I'm not sure with how much misinformation is being flooded throughout the whole radio waves and internet. I don't know what is actually true. I know the fundamental narrative I think that most people might be aware of, or maybe they don't, but it's because Ukraine is joining NATO, and Putin says that by doing that, I guess there's some kind of international law. I don't know if it's international law, so don't quote me on this, but he said that it is against a law or not an ordinance. I think it's a law that you cannot increase your national security at the expense of a neighboring country's national security. You cannot increase your security at the same time decrease your neighbors as a direct result. And that seems to be, according to Putin, one of the reasons why he's invading. And I think that's his basis is because of NATO. Ukraine attempted to join NATO, and they haven't even joined NATO. I don't think they would have even been able to, because you have to have some sort of like military leader or some shit in that. I forget, but they don't even have it. So that was like one prerequisite. Like there's some checkpoints you gotta hit to be able to gain admittance in NATO. You know what I mean? And they weren't able to hit them all in the first place. And joining NATO means every freaking NATO country has access to your territory. That's the give and take. You come into their fold, and the next day the military base from the U.S. will be like your freaking soil. You know what I mean? And things like that. So I get Russia's position in that regard, because it might feel like he's being squeezed. I'm not sure what run along is the other area. I think there's already 2 NATO countries that border Russia. And having Ukraine with like 3 borders to Russia, I can understand why he's a little paranoid. I'm not sitting here trying to be a Russian sympathizer or anything, but I sort of get that part in a way. I'm not saying he needs to invade over it. Maybe some more diplomatic discussions could be had. But I would feel a little threatened, I think. I'd feel a little threatened. I don't know, I guess. Like I said, I don't think it's worth an all-out war invasion, but I know that we're missing pieces to this puzzle.
I think you're completely right. I think you're completely right on just about everything you said. I just want to bring up, so I was reading some propaganda on social media, and it was like a screenshot or a picture of like the West's expansion as far as NATO goes. So I think in like the early 90s or late 90s, we basically said, Russia, no more expansion for you. And that was the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? So they had, if you look at a map, you're able to see what the Soviet Union was before, which encompassed a lot of the Eastern European countries, right? And so in the late 90s, that's when little by little countries started to join NATO. I don't remember in what order, but it was like you can see the map growing from Germany going east, and it was like two countries on this year, and then 2 years later, three countries joined NATO, and then another year later, another country joined NATO, and so from you can say from the late '90s up until 2014, 15, whenever that last country joined NATO,
Well, there was
the
like,
quote unquote the West has been expanding, right? And
yeah,
so that's why in an interview, Putin says the West is full of lies. I'm done. I'm done having these diplomatic discussions when the West is just full of lies. So get like I'm with you. I'm not a pro Russian advocate, but I mean, what's what's really true? So in Russia's eyes, I would say maybe they see it. It's like somewhat unfair that
he was
NATO gets to
saying
expand, but what about Russia?
he
Russia
was
used to
saying
be a great empire.
he was saying that NATO. I don't know if he used NATO, but he was saying that there's already, he was accusing the NATO allies. I can't remember, man, but he said that that there's already illegal military drills being conducted along its border, like within so many miles or so many kilometers from his border as it is, which already raises his apprehension. And with NATO absorbing Ukraine, it just means more of that, and that's why he said he's trying to put a stop to it. One reason, at least. He's like,
Well,
you're already
I
doing
don't think
illegal
that's enough
drills.
justification to be like, all right, let's wage full out war and try to take over the country. Um, I mean, yeah, that could be a point, but I mean, I think NATO just increased their military exercises in their, I guess you can say, their easternmost boundaries, which is like Ukraine is the only country that stands in between the NATO exercises and then Russia. So yeah, I mean, it's cause for concern, but um, I think it's mainly just to what's the term I'm looking for? Where like you're just trying to make a presence, let your presence be known. That's the U.S. in their way of saying like, hey, we're here, just in case you forgot. And it's
This
not
is
just
Ukraine, right?
to
This is
Russia; it's
Ukraine,
also to send a message to China.
or this is
Uh,
Ukraine.
sorry, where's your mouse?
Uh,
Okay, so well, you can see Ukraine right there.
this
There's
is
that, yeah,
Ukraine.
that's Ukraine.
So all of these blue is NATO. NATO fucking other countries. This is right here. See NATO.
Yeah,
Look at it. And now they're trying to take
that's
this.
as of 2016. And so if you compare that one to the Soviet Union one, like almost I would say half of what is currently NATO used to belong to Russia. Like look at that map right there.
Uh,
Yep. Yeah, look at that. All, like half of what's NATO now used to be
NATO's
Russia.
eastward expansion. Fuck.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, that's one good example of like, hey, we used to be a great empire. Why can't we have that, and why can you?
Well,
In
they're
a
just
sense.
they're encroaching on them more and more and more. And so, anyways,
So I
like I
think
said, I'm not trying to be a Russian sympathizer, but what I'm saying is that we're being fed a lot of propaganda. And shit is freaking weird, and there's good arguments on both sides. I don't support what Putin's doing. I don't support it at all. I know there's got to be a better way. I don't know
Slava
what that way.
Ukraina.
I don't know what that way is. I don't know what his end goal is per se. I don't know. I don't know, but um, I love listening to both sides of the story, though. I'll tell you that much. I'm in the middle, man. I don't. I get. I get it. I just. It's just a tough spot to be in. It really is. It's a tough. because I guess Ukraine is trying to join NATO. I don't even know if anybody's asked them to, but they're trying to. So I don't know what all that means. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if they were invited. I don't know, if anybody cares and it's just their initiative to join NATO for their own reasons. Obviously, to get more support and more help in general. But I mean, that decision alone is what, in my opinion, is what this war is about. It's just the eastern expansion of NATO that Russia's trying to stop. There's no care about anything else but the eastward expansion of NATO. That's it. You can say whatever he could say whatever he wants to his people about why he's going in there, to capture those Nazis or whatever, or to bring back the Ukraine that was already Russia. I guess half or a large portion of Ukraine speaks Russian. You know what I mean? And so, all that is reminds me of what George W. Bush, no, the son, George Walker Bush, I think, or no, that's a senior, George Bush Jr.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the first president of the United States of America.
No, I'm talking about George Bush. George Bush was told us remember the Iraq invasion, because what Putin's doing, Putin's rationale reminds me of what George Bush said about Iraq and why we invaded Iraq. We were looking for weapons of mass destruction. They were never freaking found. There was never not one smudge of it found. Nothing. And we invaded, and we went under that pretense, right? That's what we took to the bank. We're disarming them.
Immediately following 9/11, right?
Yeah, what I'm saying is BS. It's BS. So what I'm trying to get at is that we used that as a ruse to get in, right? And it was totally invasive. There was no basis for any of it. It was crap. So I feel like that's exactly what Putin's doing with Ukraine, and I think I saw somewhere that he even said that, like I'm going in for this reason, but you guys didn't say no one did anything to you guys when you went into freaking Iraq for no damn reason. I think he mentioned that recently. Like you guys went into Iraq with looking for on some bogus freaking witch hunt, weapons of mass destruction to liberate Iraqis, and which you did. They took the city in like under 30 days or something like that. They took Baghdad. I think in just days, like less than 2 weeks, they took Baghdad. You know what I mean? It was fast. They just rolled in and fucking took it, and under bullshit, and it was Operation Iraqi Liberation or whatever the hell. And Putin brought that to light. He mentioned that, to compare to in terms of what he's doing, but he feels, you know what I mean. So I thought that was pretty interesting to consider, where a country like the United States can do things like that, but when someone else does it, it's a big deal. And it is a big deal. It's a big deal when we do it. It's a big deal when anybody else does it. But I thought that was interesting to think about how. Everybody knows, bro. I don't think I've ever met a single person that believed in the Iraqi war invasion. Like, that really was like, yeah, we needed to do that. And we had to do that for them. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody that really feels that way.
Well, so in that sense, yeah. But, I mean, they went under the pretense of going to get payback for what happened to the United States.
But I don't think so, man, because there was never any direct link from Iraq to Al Qaeda. I don't think they ever found any like they didn't even know each other. They had nothing to do with each other. I don't think there was any record of like Al Qaeda and the Iraqi government. I don't think there really was. There was no tie there. There was no link. It wasn't as if Saddam was secretly funding it. It was Osama bin Laden funded it. It was his thing. Al Qaeda, Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Their relationship. I can't think of anything to do with each other. Like, what would Osama need him for?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
Saddam Hussein.
Right.
Huh. You're right.
What did he need them for? You know what I mean?
I don't know
Nothing.
if there is. I don't know if there even is a connection.
There was nothing.
So you know
Now I'm
what's
not.
interesting is that brings up a potential conspiracy theory. So an old friend of mine, coworker of mine, used to study that region, and they said that it's not about fighting terrorists or anything like that. It's about um, who's in control of the pipelines. So, if we were to look at a map of pipelines in that region, I think that's the main reason that we're that we were the that we went over there, is so we can start taking control of that. I mean, that's completely like out of the blue, potentially, but it's just something somebody mentioned to me, and I thought that was it. Probably has some truth to it, because like you're saying, there's no like connection from the what do you say, Al Qaeda
So
to
at
Iraq.
first, right? At first, it was like what you were saying. It seemed as though they were trying to tie. They were trying to find a pattern where there was no pattern. They were trying to. At first, they were trying to say that Saddam had something to do with 9/11, right? Saddam was the enemy at the time. Um, it was as if he had something to do with 9/11, but they couldn't figure that out. They couldn't connect the dots in a way so as to prove that because it wasn't true. And so the next thing to do was like, well, we still feel, he might have nuclear weapons, and we're sure that he'll use them on us. you know, and you know, I heard a story. I talked to somebody a long time ago, years ago, or like 12, 15 years ago, or whatever the fuck, and their opinion on it, or from what they this person, I don't even remember it so long ago, but an idea was that Saddam may have even thought he had weapons of mass destruction. Like his scientists were telling him he had weapons of mass destruction, but he didn't. But he never actually did. So when when they're putting sanctions on him to investigate, because they would go to his weapons plants or whatever, the UN would go to his weapons plants to carry out the sanctions, and he wouldn't allow them in. He wouldn't let them in. He would block them. That's why it started escalating, because he wasn't letting the UN representatives go into his facilities anymore. He was stopping them. And you got to think, why the fuck is he doing that? You know what I mean? If he's got nothing to hide, let him in. You know what I'm saying? Why is he doing that? They ended up finding nothing, right? But one story that I can say this goes is that his scientists were feeding him, like telling him, yeah, you do. We do have this technology. It is available to the Iraqi. We are within 2 years of development of our first war. You know what I'm saying? Like he may have been led to believe he did have something, and that's why he's making it so difficult for those sanctions to be carried out against his facilities. When in reality he didn't have anything. Just those scientists must have been up against the gun to do something. You know what I mean? Like, give him what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? Low key, because I think they found. Obviously we need plutonium to make a nuclear warhead, I believe. So you just, you find plutonium, he's up to something. You know what I'm saying? Or you find out that he's trying to obtain plutonium. And there was a lot of shit going on about that too. But the fact is, nothing was ever discovered. Nothing. Nothing. Not a damn thing. Invaded the whole country, destroyed the freaking regime, toppled the whole complete government, propped up a fucking puppet president, created a whole new constitution for the Iraqi people. You know what I'm saying? And it's still standing to this day. You know what I mean? Can You know, it's still standing to this day. Like the new Iraqi government, you know, that was put in place by the United States. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like being in Iraqi? They're probably over it by now. You know, they probably changed and conformed, whatever. There's a whole new generation of kids. You know what I mean? But can you imagine how unsettling that must have been initially? You know, like how can when you're so used to Saddam Hussein for, I mean, what was he in power for 30 years or so? I mean, he was ruling, bro, for like 3 decades, just fucking ruling. Him and his sons just had a stranglehold on that freaking country. Absolute stranglehold. His son, I forget one of his sons, he he would fucking beat the Iraqi soccer team and shit like that. It's like, I don't know, when they would lose game. Like his son was freaking, one of his other son was insane. It's absolutely insane. I think for his 18th birthday, Saddam Hussein gave him a AK-47 to let him execute prisoners that were sentenced to death for his 18th birthday. And I think his son even shot. His son shot somebody at a where I forget, man. I don't know, but they're violent.
I'm gonna share my screen.
They were violent.
I heard that about the soccer players though.
Yeah.
So if you look at the legend, it says oil pipeline and field. So I mean that's right over Iraq of the gas pipelines and oil pipeline. So I mean, was it because of weapons of mass destruction, or was there a ulterior motive? You know, I guess that's a conspiracy theory. We'll have to try to.
You know what's interesting, that what's interesting about the whole thing is the propaganda, in my opinion. It's how we're being fed these different stories and narratives, and really comes down to what you want to believe.
I think a while back it was easier to manipulate because there was so few avenues of to get information. And
But now there's too many. How do we know which one's the right one? Now there's just so many. That's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, you can go left and find the conspiracy theory. You can go right and find, some other theory, and you can go straight and like, there's just no limit to the amount of fucking stories you can hear. And what it does, it's like we have more information, but with it brings immense confusion at the same time. Because where do you get your news from?
What'd you say?
Where do you get your news from?
Social media.
Okay. Where do I get my news from? I don't fucking know. Wherever Apple,
peer-reviewed sources.
the Apple News app. I use the Apple News app. I try to follow different freaking articles and different stories. I think the stories that I believe most, to be honest, when I read them, are the stories that are exhaustive. I can tell the person researched the shit out of this and they spent time on this. And where I don't hear an opinion, when I hear like a blank statement throughout the piece, that's the one I tend to believe more than any other. When I feel like there's like a huge biasness in an article, I don't trust it. When I read just, this is what happened, I tend to believe that more, or feel more comfortable with that. That's why might sound kind of funny, but that's why I don't really watch as much Fox News or CNN anymore.
I think the way that media and social media and just our different outlets of news has shaped us is we have to be responsible and do our own due diligence in sorting through all the bits of information to find, I guess, our own true version of what's going on. And if that means reading like 10 different articles and watching 3 different, I don't know, YouTube live videos, then that's what you got to do now. Unfortunately, yeah, it's
You know,
just
that's a good point. You got to read. You might read 5 different lying narratives, but you got to read a few at least to be able to formulate a decent opinion of what you think may be going on. Yeah, I
so
guess.
for the people that can't see that. Yeah, I feel sorry for them. It's like fuck, information here, information there, down there, up there. Whoa, where the fuck do I go?
You know what's crazy is
And
that
then they're like, "Fuck the president!
yeah,
It's all his fault."
you know what's crazy is that I even heard or read somewhere that Russia right now has the Putin actually right has the capability at this very moment to shut off the entire power grid of Ukraine. Just shut it off. No more power to that country. Everything is done.
I don't hear
It's
that one.
yeah, it's true. Like you know what? Not only is it true, but they've done it before. I heard another story that because this was a question that was raised at the beginning of the invasion. It was like, dude, he has the power to shut off the grid. Why hasn't he done it yet? And I guess he has done it. He did it for a week a couple years back. Shut down the power grid for a week in Ukraine, and then brought it back up. And that's why they know he has the power to do that. You can look it up, dude. Look it up. He has the power to shut that freaking grid down, but it's not done it. And I can only speculate that the reason he's not doing that is because it'd be a war crime, I guess. You know?
Bro,
Huh?
you know how much war crime he's already committed?
How much?
Okay,
How?
so bombing places of, well, I don't know if it's just the U.S.'s laws or international law, but either way, bombing places of religion,
Yeah,
like
non-military facilities. Non-military
bombing like children's playgrounds in
Yeah,
schools.
civilian areas, non-military facilities, killing innocent civilians, bombing.
That's a war crime already.
Yeah, but is he doing that?
Yeah, he's nothing. The military is not going to do anything without his
Yeah, but see, you know,
orders.
yeah, but there are countless incidents of the United States doing the very same thing, and somehow, like, and I'm talking about the very same. In Obama administration, Obama, there was it was an, they said it was an accident, but they conducted a missile strike to blow up, I think, a chemical building or something like that, and it ended up hitting fucking kids, killed them. Anyways, um, I don't know how much. I know it's a war crime, but I don't know if it's been proven to be the war crime because we've done it a fucking shitloads of times. I mean, I'm telling you, bro, you can go through countless and countless of incidents of mishaps with us. I mean, it was when I was watching the other day. Oh my gosh, it was freaking. There was this um, helicopter pilot, dude, mistook a guy, like a crowd of. Oh my gosh, I should gotta find it, dude. It was like it was a crowd of I don't know. I think they were Iraqis. I forgot some Middle Eastern country. They were a crowd of individuals. One of them was holding a guitar, I think it was, dude. And the guy in the helicopter caught sight of the guitar mistook it for an AK, and in an instant got the okay to rain hell in like 3 seconds, slaughter like 10, 15 people in a group, and they were like literally coming out of church and shit going like they were doing something so fucking normal. It was a little boy that died in it and shit. It was so normal, dude. What they were doing was so like, what the fuck? And then they just rained down hell on them from this like crazy ass sick military helicopter. And there's a video of it. There's a video of the communication between the help chopper and the person on the ground. Eagle One, on target. Do it. Just do it, or some shit. And they're like, and I think they're even laughing. They're like, "Oh, we got it," or some shit like. I'll try to find the video.
That was probably something that Snowden leaked.
Huh?
Snowden leaked a lot of stuff, and he noticed there was wrongdoings. Like you're saying, like the U.S. gets away with a lot of shit, and he was just exposing them.
I think you're right, dude. It was a WikiLeaks thing. I'm looking at it on the internet right now, but it was wicked, dude. It was like, okay, this isn't too loud.
And so he was saying I think his point on it, not that I'm defending him, but I think he's just saying like the people have a right to know about the atrocities that their government's doing or in charge of, and for the government to try to keep it hidden or not known to the public is kind of messed up.
Oh, I think this is it, dude. Hold on. The whole freaking corner gets freaking absolutely this is on YouTube too, so I don't think that this is it. This is it, dude. I'll show it. This is not copyrighted or anything. Nobody really owns this. I don't think so. I don't think we shouldn't have a problem with it. We shouldn't have a problem with it, but trip out on this.
Came across them. 2-year-old photographer Namir Noor Eldin and a 40-year-old driver, Saeed Shmag, were out in search of a story when the crew of the Apache helicopter came across them.
Dead.
He said keep shooting?
Group of men
Yeah.
and Namir's camera was enough for the trigger-happy crew to open.
So it wasn't a guitar, it was a camera. The man had a camera. Watch.
Dean and a 40-year-old driver, Saeed Shmag, were out in search of a story when the crew of the Apache helicopter came across them.
He's got a camera in his hand. Look at that. Oh my god, bro. That's...
The sight of this group of men and Namir's camera was enough for the trigger-happy crew to open fire indiscriminately, killing them all. The chatter over the radio revealing how desperate the crew was to fire their weapons at innocent, unarmed civilians.
Wow.
The US military called it an act of self-defense, saying the Reuters employees were killed in the crossfire. But only when an unnamed source passed this video on to WikiLeaks that the truth was known to the world.
There it is.
And the American military shamed yet again. International Desk, NewsX.
So, going back to what you were saying is that
Tell me that
perhaps
wasn't
away with a lot of stuff.
Tell me that wasn't an Apache helicopter roll raining. When I use the words raining down hell, that's exactly what that shit was, dude. There's no fucking escape from that. a helicopter blasting at you like that. You're fucking done. Like you can't run from that. Can you imagine? Fuck.
It might not even have been a helicopter. It might have been a drone.
No, it said it was an Apache helicopter.
Oh,
Yeah, it was an Apache helicopter. Dude, there's zero chance of survival. Dude, that shit's above you, fucking shooting down. I don't give a shit if you're in a house. If that shit's shooting down at you, your house will be decimated in seconds, bro. You know what I'm saying? That shit would level buildings and shit. You know what I mean? That's fucking insane. And that shit was just indiscriminately firing on just a group of fucking people because he had a camera that they mistook for a fucking AK. But that's how trigger happy in the video. That, anyways, I'm just saying, um, nobody's innocent, man. And I'm not like a sympathizer for Putin. I'm not. All I'm saying is that we're hearing a bunch of crazy shit. It's really hard to tell who's telling the truth. What I do know is that I feel bad for what's going on. I really do. I have a lot of compassion for all that. I think it's fucking crazy. I think it sucks no matter how you look at it. I wish there was a better way. I know there's a better way to deal with that. I don't know what it is. Actually, I think obviously people need to talk more and figure things out. Maybe just a ceasefire until they do. I think, at this point, Putin's made his point. You know what I'm saying? I think already, I don't know, man. I don't know. The fallout of this is going to be insane, man. And I think that Putin's. I think this is it, man. I don't think Putin will live through this. To be honest, I think he'll end up. He's public enemy number one now, and I think that United States is playing him into a trap that he will be able to get out of. He'll be strung up by the neck pretty soon. The way,
or just assassinated.
The way what's his face was
because
Gaddafi. The way Gaddafi was by his own people.
Gaddafi. Oh, they dragged him. Was that the guy they dragged through the streets?
The Libyan president Muammar Gaddafi. He was fucking lynched by his own people.
Wow.
And it was all like they say orchestrated by Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton orchestrated, through little small proxy wars and propaganda. Got his whole countrymen to lynch him and kill him. They did. And one conspiracy theory that goes with that is that he was introducing a new form of currency that was gonna make the U.S. dollar of no value over there. He was gonna stop taking the U.S. dollar and other forms of currency. He was creating a whole new currency system, and then he was killed.
Yeah.
He was getting the United Emirates and everybody on board with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was coming together. I don't know if he was getting the Emirates together, but I mean, he was pushed. That's what they say. That's why he was chosen to be taken out. It's because he was pushing a new form of currency that didn't involve the dollar bill.
So I think that with the current sanctions in place against the Russian economy, I think that we're going to see, we haven't even seen the worst of the worst yet as far as the people's sentiment towards basically towards Putin.
Can you imagine?
It hasn't even been 30 days, right? So you get your rent's due once a month, right? I don't know what their rent payment is like over there. Let's just say it's once a month. So right now they're good for 1 month. So let's say 30 days down the line, 60 days down the line, people aren't going to be able to pay. I mean, the Russian ruble compared to the value of the dollar has already decreased, I think, by a factor of half. And so, I mean, if they were planning on traveling or doing anything outside of Russia, yeah, I think they can kiss that goodbye, and they're just gonna get angrier and angrier and angrier. You're gonna have less money, or maybe just the thought of having less money, but still, it makes you angry. It makes you desperate, and I think it's all gonna be directed towards that one guy. And videos I'm seeing is a lot of anti-war protests going on, but in other regions, there's also like pro-war protests, like people that support Russia and what's going on.
There was a story that I saw on the internet somewhere about a young lady that is born and she's from Russia, but she lives in Ukraine, and her family still lives in Moscow. Her mother and father live in Moscow, and she's trying to describe to her mother that the Russian soldiers are targeting innocent civilians and destroying their buildings that they live in. And the mother is insisting that it's not true, and that if the Russian soldiers are killing civilians because the civilians are fighting them, and that the Russian soldiers are only targeting military bases. So her mother doesn't even believe her daughter, and the daughter, you know what I mean? That's how heavy the propaganda machine is moving in Russia. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking that's thick. It's laid on that thick. And I also read another story. This is fact too. You can look this up. That Russia just imposed a new law handing out 15-year sentences for any news agencies that quotes or misidentifies the special military operation going on. If they use
yeah,
terms like invasion or war or whatever, they're liable to face 15 years in fucking prison.
yep. So I mean, that's just another form of trying to put control on the people, right? And how how much is it? When is it going to be enough for the people? When are they going to start to wake up,
Yeah,
or will their hold will Russia's government's hold be strong enough to fight that? I don't think so, because people are. I don't know. I feel like in today's world, people are too informed. There's like different ways of people finding shit out, and uh, they're gonna eventually they'll find out the truth. And once they do, all hell's gonna break loose until that person's out of power.
Putin told his rich friends, his rich cronies, especially elite. He told them in the interview, "I understand what is happening to you is tough, but bear with me. What I'm doing is what needs to be done." Because their money and their banks are frozen and shit like that, and their assets are being seized and stuff like that, you know? And he's like, he can't offer any assistance other than just, hang in there. We're doing the right thing.
Yep, they're trying to. I don't know.
Now let's go on to Truth Social. What are your thoughts on Truth Social so far?
We're gonna have to talk about that tomorrow.
All right, well, screw off then.
I can say my bit. Truth Social, I think, is a well developed, well thought out platform,
Twitter replica.
and yeah, yeah. Essentially, it's a copy of off of Twitter.
It's a really
And
good copy of Twitter.
yeah, and it's mainly right winged.
I haven't seen a single freaking left wing person on there at all yet. Not at all. Not one. It's all been right wingers.
I don't know if
Not
it's
even a centrist.
yeah. I
Nothing.
don't know if it's because of their lack of employed people they have there or what, but I'm hearing that people are having trouble just finishing the creation of their accounts. They're still on the wait list. So it, that might be an issue as far as I don't know, seeing the full potential of what it's going to be or what it can
I
be.
give it a year. I give it a 16 months actually, and
Uh,
we're gonna see it freaking full blown wide open. I think
that's
it's gonna
that's
take
kind
about
of a
16
that's
months.
kind of a long time frame.
Well, because there's bugs like crazy. People are already complaining about like posting something that wasn't even sensitive at all, and it's being deemed as sensitive. There's a huge bunch of errors and bugs. I mean, for me, you can't even pin a comment yet to your page, which is something
Uh,
that Twitter had that this doesn't have. There's a lot of missing
oh
features.
yeah, you're right.
You know what
Like
I'm
Twitter
saying?
has like you can tip now.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing features. Now, I'm not looking for Twitter there, but I'm just saying it's a fucking replica of it. You know what I'm saying? It really is. And it's
Yeah,
missing a lot. You know what I mean? As a result, in the scheme of things, it's missing a lot. So I don't expect all that to pan out. I mean, it's giving you a Facebook amount of characters to say your piece, which I think is cool. It's not limited to what 126 characters. I think Twitter was at or less. I think there's no limit on True Social. I'm not even sure, but I mean it's pretty. You can put a whole paragraph, like a Facebook paragraph, in there. I'm noticing, and so I can see the bugs. It's going to take a minute for all those. I mean, the first update's gonna. I mean, they need to update already. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a process. It's going to be like I said, a good 16 months, at least a year and a half to kind of iron it out and get it, into a well greased machine or anywhere near close to that. But um, yeah, it's going to take a minute. I mean, it's already taking a minute, but it's going to be longer. I give it until the summer to where we start seeing like it be relatively decently populated. Like I looked at Trump's page; he doesn't even have 200,000 followers. Maybe somewhere around there. I forgot. It's not even a lot. So there's a long way to go on that thing. A long way to go. You know, that's why I give it, and I think it's a conservative amount of time too. It's 16 months. I think that conservative. That's a stretch. Short time is what I mean. For that shit to be good. I mean, it's taken Twitter what 20 years to get it where it's at. 15 years. Shit takes a minute. It's gonna have to have its own little zinger too, because right now it has zero originality. Zero originality. There's not one thing that's original about it. I don't even know what. Can you think of anything original with it? It's so fucking. It's nothing.
yeah.
Nothing. Nothing original. It's literally fucking Twitter. It's ran by Trump.
Yeah, I found it hard to find new people. It was just
Yeah.
a list of people they want you to follow or
Huh?
something, and
You can't get rid of that list either. You can't get rid of that.
I think that's weird.
It doesn't change. It just gets smaller as you are brainwashed into following them. Because I keep following them thinking I'm going to see new people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. It's just shortening the list. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying it's a long
it's
way to go with
weird.
it. There's a long way to go with it.
In its infancy still. But
Yeah.
on that note, I'm out of here. I gotta go check on the baby.
All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for listening and thanks for watching. We're just talking, shooting the breeze, chilling.
Stay tuned for more. We'll be back. You know when.
Bye.
'Cause we don't either.
Bye bye.